Welcome, friends, to Tanked Up, the podcast, all about video games and beer. One of your hosts, Ben, here with Lucy.
Hello, Ben.
Hi. And Adil.
Hi.
Hey.
Hi, Adil. Hi.
You returned to us.
Did he go anywhere?
No.
Actually, the thing is, I didn't go anywhere, and you guys did.
We did, yes. That's it. That's exactly the thing. I'm thinking, because we missed last week, then you were with us the week before, but you weren't the week before that. And in my mind, I've reverted to like 3 weeks ago. Anyway, we're all here. Who fucking knows what might be happening in my head? Let's open some beers. Lucy, what are you starting, or what are you having tonight?
I am having a beer, but it is non-alcoholic.
Okay.
It is from ToØl,
Oh.
which I haven't had one of their beers in ages. It's called Implosion. It says, enjoy this delicious non-alcoholic fruit beer with all its complexity, crispness, and berry flavour, while keeping a level head. So it's a non-alcoholic beer with raspberries and elderflower.
Okay.
Give me anything, and that's it. But yeah, so been in this space trying to find a good non-alcoholic beer. I still think the Wiper and Shoe one has been the best. Yeah, it's very good. I've still got a can left downstairs.
The Kaleidoscope.
Yeah.
Yes. Although I did have a mash gang a couple of weeks ago, I think.
Yeah.
But it was the mash gang that I like, with the skeleton boy on it.
Yeah.
But that hit the spot as well. So I think I'm settling on the ones that I'd go back to. But
Nice.
Still dipping my toe, seeing what these are like.
Fair. Good. Okay. Adil, what are you drinking this evening?
I've got another special beer on the recommendation of Ben, from Hopknocker Ben, which is it's from Twice Brewed, and it's a 5% blue raspberry sour.
Okay.
Blue, zingy, tangy, and sweet. What was that? Let's see.
So we both got raspberries.
Yeah. So it's a 5% sour, blue, zingy, tangy, and sweet. This modern sour beer is like a melted slush mixed with pick and mix, a non-subtle bonkers sour.
Nice. What was it called?
It was called the Twice Brewed's Blue Raspberry Sour.
Oh, okay. Nice and simple.
But I'm gonna do this.
No, it is a blue beer.
Yeah.
Yes.
Seen a lot of those recently.
This was definitely picked mostly for Lucy because every time I have a blue beer, which is now getting to too many times? Question mark.
I think so.
You're on multiple blue beers, yes.
You have scoffed, and I just
I think it's because I have still horrible memories from that Mash Gang blue beer that was just disgraceful and went down the sink. So it may be PTSD from that. Yeah.
Don't judge a beer by its color.
I try not to, because I remember years ago when you came to Birmingham.
Yeah.
Wasn't there like a green margarita beer or something?
Oh, there
like that?
was. Yeah.
And that was nice.
Yeah, I remember it was a bit salty.
Yeah, because it was meant to be.
Because they were trying to do the thing.
Yeah. Like a salted goza or something like that. Yeah.
Nice. This evening I am going to drink a beer from Pomona Island in commemoration of finally going to Manchester and bopping around drinking beers. This is Drums Please. It's a West Coast IPA with a basketball on the front for some reason.
Please.
It is 7.1%. So it's not quite a double West Coast IPA, but it's edging up towards. Here it is, the West Coast, slightly transformed. Just a bit of a break from the norm. Just a little Citra Cryo, Citra BBC.
Is this a play on in the summertime?
Say what?
Like a play on the song.
I don't know. I can't quite figure out what
that song starts
it feels
drums,
like.
Please.
Oh yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Maybe it
Shall we get
is.
the lyrics to it in the summertime? Google.
So, here it is, the
Mhm.
West Coast slightly transformed. Just a bit of a break from the norm. Just a little
It
Citra
is,
Cryo,
yes.
Citra BBC, and Citra G90 to break the monotony of all that New England juice that has gotten to be a little bit out of control. It's cool to
Those are
drink
absolutely
bitterness.
the lyrics
Mm.
for in the summertime.
That's it. They are just the lyrics for the
Yeah.
song. I just
Yeah, because when you said drums, please, I was thinking, instantly in the summertime came to my mind. And when you started reading it, I like, okay, that's what it is.
So is it a basketball because it's a Fresh Prince reference?
Probably. Probably.
That's who knows.
Like how convoluted can
I
we
mean,
get with the things that are going on?
Yes,
And it's
how
sort of-
deep does this go?
But I'm pretty sure this was on draft when we went to North Westwood Ho.
Right.
But I didn't have it because I already had a can of it sat in the fridge. I picked up from the bottle shop that was around the corner from where we were staying. So yes, I'm going to drink this, and we'll roll all the way back round, Lucy, to the ToØl.
Yeah. Yeah. You see, I don't have a problem with like fluorescently coloured beers. It's just the blue ones. Because this is very pink. Ooh, oh wow, that is very raspberry. And elderflower. It smells like, well, I'll say cordial. Not squash as we do in the Midlands. But yeah, it smells like raspberries and elderflower.
Yeah.
It smells delightful. You're not getting anything else on the nose other than those two smells, which are very distinct. So
Nice.
it looks very thin. It's slightly hazy. Oh, I just want to smell it though.
Hopefully the flavour is similar.
I mean that's just like a sparkling elderflower / raspberry drink. I don't know what makes it a beer. It has no resemblance to a beer.
Okay.
Apart from maybe it's just not as carbonated as like a, fizzy drink. Raspberry and elderflower fizzy drink. It's got more of a softer finish. It's got more of a softer finish. But it's not a beer. I mean it is, but it's not. This is just like elderflower and raspberry cordial / sparkling water. No resemblance to a beer. No bitterness on the end. No
Any maltiness?
no body. No maltiness. They may have just made one of those and put it in a can, and called it beer. And that's, you know what? It's weird because at one point I'm disappointed because it doesn't taste like a beer. But on the other hand, I'd prefer the beer taste like this than something that's really trying to be a beer,
Okay.
but it really doesn't reach those lengths because you can tell it's a non-alcoholic beer, whereas this just feels like a completely different drink on its own, and that's fine. So yeah, it's refreshing, that's for sure.
Nice. Good.
Imagine if you gave someone this who they say that I don't like beer. Give me something that's a beer, but I'll like it. You give them this, and they start thinking, "Oh yeah, I like beer now."
Beers are great, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's like, no, this is not a beer. The process of making it may be a beer, but in all other facets, it's not a beer. But it's nice. It's nice.
Okay, good. Adil, hopefully we have similar thoughts of niceness, but maybe more close to a beer, perhaps.
I mean, it's a lovely greeny blue.
Yep.
Like, I don't know if you can see that. It's
Mm-hmm.
it's almost green with the yellow lights in this room. I mean, on the crack in the pour and obviously the nose. Yeah, I'm getting blueberry, a mild sense of maybe malts are there. Yeah, it's like I don't know if you. So back home we had like freezies, which were like frozen slush in a little plastic thing, and you like snipped
Mm-hmm.
top off and you
Oh,
squeezed
those
it in
are
your
good.
mouth. And there were flavors that were basically colors.
Yep.
And so it smells slightly more like fruit, but mostly like blue,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Those
With a
things did smell of blue.
malty undertone,
Mm.
Oh.
which is, I think, the weirdest description of the nose of a beer I've ever given.
It makes sense because I remember those things, and yes, they did smell like blue. Mm.
Mmm, weird. I'm getting on first taste. It starts like blue. There's enough carbonation, which it doesn't look like. This almost looks still.
Mm.
Mhm.
But there's enough carbonation along with the sourness to like excite the tongue. But it finished almost like a bit of apple juice.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm getting weird, very apple juicy vibes. In the mid taste, like when the sour starts to fade.
Hmm.
It is quite tart. Um, in fact, it's a bit like having a sour treat that's flavored blue.
Right.
But then it's got this lovely. I actually think this weird. I mean, maybe it's just the depth of the fruit they're using is coming out, but this apple juicy note is giving it more depth than just sort of tart and blue. And it finishes quite long, a little sweet and lingering. Again, it makes me feel like I've had a sour candy,
Mm-hmm.
but I think there's just that hint of, there's almost no bitterness, but there's a hint of maltiness, especially as the sour fades away. What's left on my tongue, like now that I've been talking for like 30 seconds, is just the hint of maybe this is a beer.
Okay.
But I think Lucy and I are having very similar drinks in the category of brightly colored, slightly carbonated thing that if you didn't tell me it was a beer, I wouldn't assume it's a beer.
Mm-hmm. Mm.
Which, if that wasn't such a long description, could be the title of the episode. But
Yeah. Bit of a mouthful, but as
decent mouthfeel, bit
Yeah.
of a mouthful.
Okay. Good.
That's
So
good. That's snappy.
maybe the beeriest of beers this evening is Pomona Island.
But not the berriest of beers.
Absolutely not. Nowhere near. It's quite light on the nose, really. Not a huge amount in there. Bit malty. More in that sort of maybe like toffee kind of sense. That
Mhm.
that slightly sweet, but not a huge amount. But yeah, really light nose. Oh, that's good. What was the hops? A lot of Citra, a lot of different levels of Citra in this, I think, isn't it? Yeah, Citra Cryo, Citra BBC, and Citra T90. So there's lots of interesting, lots of kind of slightly not citrus elements. Like there's stuff that's kind of a little bit like soured almost on the initial sort of flavor. So not quite that sweet sort of or slightly sweeter kind of candy malt that I was getting in the nose. Like it's definitely there. That sweetness is like kicking through, absolutely. But it starts off a little kind of sour. And then that sourness with a little bit of bitterness in there has this sweetness that kind of kicks in a touch. And then the sweetness kind of dips down and the bitterness pops back up again. Like there's a weird mix of different bits going on in this. Ultimately, the finish leaves me with this kind of bitter, very dry kind of finish. Like the beer feels very wet to taste. When I first sort of supping it, but then there's this really quick kind of drying element, and it just dries almost straight away and leaves me with this bitterness, but with these hints of those elements as well. That slight sourness, that little bit of sweetness that creeps in as well. They're kind of there in that finish, but really just like a hint. And that's how I feel about the flavour as well. Like there's this sour hint and then this slightly sweet hint. And it's really this kind of underlying bitterness that's rolling through the whole kind of flavour profile. But still just getting subtle touches of those as well. Difficult to kind of put my finger on exactly what that sweetness is. And a little bit of the alcohol in there, maybe a 7 point something %. Not quite malty, but a little more fruity in that sort of sweetness. Where there's a bit of like a little bit of mango, but it doesn't quite feel like that. It feels more like a it is kind of stone fruity, a little bit as well, maybe. This is really difficult to ascertain exactly what's going on in these flavors because it morphs quite quickly. So when you suddenly think, okay, it's a bit sort of slightly soury, slightly riper mango, but actually is that got a little bit of sort of peach in there, something like that that's just kind of crept in, giving that little bit of that subtle sort of sweetness, but actually then it gets quite sweet and you're like, oh, it's not that, it's something else instead. And then it all just dulls back down to that kind of bitterness. And then each time I've supped and I've chatted for a bit, I'm going, okay, well, there's slightly more sourness in this sip. Sure, that's what's kind of accompanying the bitterness in the end. And the next sip I have, it's like, oh no, I've taken out more of the sweetness in that sort of sip this time. So that's the lasting finish I have from this. So it's interesting that it's slightly different each time, almost, in terms of what my palate is going, oh, I've picked up more of this now. So we'll see where we get to towards the end of the episode with this and kind of where that balance kind of might be, or if there's a balance, if it just has this sort of shifting nature as my palate has no idea what the fuck I'm drinking for the next hour or so, potentially.
I would have thought yours would be the more straightforward one.
Yes, that is exactly what I thought as well. It's like, oh, it's a West Coast IPA, cool, just dank, bitter, done. It's like, no, we're not doing that here. I mean, the opening line of the flavor text is, here is the West Coast, slightly transformed. So, hints that they're trying to do something different. We'll see. We'll see how this sits. I did have another beer earlier, but it was only a pale, so it shouldn't have affected this much. It was only, and again, a little while ago. So, yeah, we'll drink these. We'll continue to see how they are. We will come to chat about games or anything in gaming that we want to talk about this week. I do have a game to chat about. Has anyone else got anything they want to kind of talk about first, topic-wise? Anything that's been going on? Anything they want to sort of
first
bring
week
to the table?
Term,
Yes.
Yeah.
Very boring. I mean, teaching went well, but like
Good.
That's good at least, yeah.
Yeah.
I after lecture today, I had students wanting to ask questions, and because it's the main lecture hall at the front of the arts and humanities complex, and there's all the people who were coming in because I went over, and all people in this course coming out, and it's right by the front entrance. It was just this mob of people. I'm like, so originally I'm like, let's just get out of the way of the next class. We'll talk outside, and then we go, and there's just a brick of people. I was like, okay, I guess if you want to talk to me, I'll be in the street out front. And so for 15 minutes, I'm talking to students in the street. I was like, this is weird.
Brilliant.
But yeah, so again, I mean, at least they're engaged.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, that is literally the only anecdote-worthy moment, really.
Is this first
it's my
years
birthday tomorrow.
First years or returning students?
This is the master's course for data science.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, it is my birthday tomorrow as well.
Yes.
Hooray.
It's in my calendar.
Mm-hmm.
It's Eel's birthday.
Nice. You doing anything for it? It's a Friday.
I'm going to the Hop Knocker, and it closes at 9, but Ben's like... But my worry is I've told enough people, and it'll be Friday at the Hop Knocker, which is usually busy anyway, so we'll see how full it gets. I'm hoping the weather's okay and the back garden will be open.
And
You
then a
can-
lock
yeah,
in till
Mm.
3 a.m.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Drinking all the blue beers you can get.
Or even worse, Ben might bring in, if he brings his music machines, it's a lost cause already.
Oh, I wish I was. Why don't I just do 2 birthday weekends in one and just somehow, if I set out now, I might be able to get to Durham by tomorrow at 9 o'clock.
Yeah, probably.
It's a long, arduous journey, Lucy.
Yeah.
There'll be wind, there'll be
Not that-
snow, there'll be rain.
It's not that bad. I mean, I usually go, when I go to Bristol, I go through New Street. So I'm
I'd be
guessing
driving.
it's like, driving, yeah. So the train's probably,
Better, but
yeah.
me and public transport. I like
Mhm.
driving.
Mm.
Imagine all the places I could stop off on the way.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's fair.
That's
But
part of the joy.
that's why it would take you ages.
Yes, I'd get there by your next birthday.
Gets to 7 o'clock. Where are you, Lucy? I've just ended up in Leeds. Sorry, I mean,
Yeah.
I was on
yeah,
my way.
I'm
but
at Northern Monk. Yeah.
I'll be there in like 2 hours. It's fine. It's okay. I'm coming. I am coming. Nice.
Then I go to like York, and it's like, oh, sorry, just short stop off in York, and there was a Brew York or something. Yeah, that's how it'd go.
Absolutely.
But yeah, it's far.
So maybe before we jump into games, Lucy, you joined Kim and I in Manchester at the weekend to bop around some breweries. Just to touch on, was there any favourite beers that you had at all that you can remember?
I wasn't really focusing on the beers too
No.
much. I think the company was just very nice. Yeah, I don't even remember the beers I had. The one that stood out though was that Beetroot one that we didn't actually buy. We just tasted.
That's exactly what I
from
was going to say.
Balance. Yeah, yeah. That was interesting. I know you said that you like Beetroot. I'm not a massive Beetroot fan, but it tasted better than I thought it would.
Yep.
But more than that sample would probably be too much beetroot that I want to consume.
Yeah, absolutely. I was in the same position, even though I like beetroot and I enjoy it in various things. I think even a third of that beer would have been too much. It was very intense as a flavour, and I think you've got to really, like, if you ate beetroot by itself, just cooked, even cooled, straight from the fridge out of the jar, you'd like this beer. If you like your beetroot chopped up and put into things, maybe not so much. But I can't remember the name of it, but the other beer that I had from Balance, again, which was a slightly pinkier, reddier sort of beer. It was some kind of like raspberry mix firm sort of thing, or a farmhouse ale or something like that. That was nice as well.
Yeah, very much.
Yeah. But tiny, lovely little place. Staggered down as it should. Being under the railway.
Yeah, got all the barrels in the back. Yeah, I really enjoyed it the 2 times that I've been. So yeah,
Nice.
it's just great to see that next to a brewery that's just doing like more traditional, traditional, more mainstream like IPAs in Sure Shot. Just was it a door down or two doors down?
Two down, I think. Yeah. And it was packed. Sure Shot was really busy. Yeah. Even busier than Cloudwater, and obviously a bit bigger in terms of the space that they've got at Cloudwater. But Sure Shot felt probably about the same amount of people.
Yes,
but
as in
Cloudwater, you've got the 2 floors and slightly more sort of space. So, busy in Sure Shot.
Yeah, but I think out of all of them, I think Cloudwater is my favourite. Just because of the range of beers that they've got.
Yeah.
I mean, Track is a very, modern looking space and everything, and it is very nice. And Track beers are great, and they had a ton of selection.
They did.
But I feel like there's a lot of experimentation obviously going on in Balance, but it feels like there's a lot of experimental, not even experimental, but like beers that you just will not get in can that are at Cloudwater that you don't see anymore, so to speak. So it feels a bit more like a destination place where it's like, oh, to get this beer, I have to go to Cloudwater, despite them being, shipping all over the UK and probably maybe even further afield.
Yeah.
Still feels like, oh, there's a reason to go there because they're doing things that Cloudwater do very well and always have, but it's like they're not going to put that into, main distribution. So, and it's just nice, like going up into that little space, and it's quite light, and yeah, because all the other places are like, well, not track, but the other two are quite dark. So
Very
it's
dark,
just
yeah,
like,
yeah.
yeah. I don't know. I like Cloudwater.
It's funny because even North Westward Ho, traditionally a pub rather than say like a microbrewery or anything like that, surrounded by higher buildings, big windows, but all artificially lit in there. Really, even though we're there kind of in the middle of the day, you don't get a huge amount of direct sun, even deflected sort of sun into
But
there.
there's all those taps at Pomona Island.
Exactly. That was
I love it though. Yeah.
I think I had 4 or 5 beers whilst we were at North Westward Ho, just kind of being like, great, I'll have a pale. Now I have another pale. Now I have an IPA. And just moving up through the percentages there. But I really like Track as a sort of a venue, just because of the sort of the scale of it ultimately.
Yes,
big old warehouse, lots of seating out front, all of the sort of the vessels and stuff kind of towards the back.
Big bar.
But it reminded me of Dig.
Queue.
When we mentioned Dig whilst we were kind of, not maybe while we were there, but sort of during the day. But it very much reminded me of Dig in terms of their kind of, the layout of the venue.
Yeah,
and the space
absolutely.
that they've got to play with. And then just cried about Dig not existing anymore for 5 minutes. But,
yeah. Shame.
And then blacked out for 5 minutes and then came to again after loads of pizza. And that was Manchester.
As it should be.
Yes, absolutely. So let's talk about games and what we've played. I will start us off by talking about a game which we've spoken about on multiple occasions. Cryptmaster. I got a code for the PS5 version of Cryptmaster, which I believe came out a couple of days ago. One of the things I was going to do before we started was check the embargo on it. But I'm pretty sure I am well within it now. At least by the time this is published, potentially. But having played the demo on Steam and on the PC, and having the ability to type, Lucy, we mentioned Cryptmaster and it coming to console previously, and how that might translate across. It's out. Embargo was out. A week
on
ago.
The 3rd of October.
Yes,
I think,
yes.
Mm-hmm.
And I think on the PlayStation it pops up a little virtual keyboard. So the character that you're talking to, as it does on the PC version, kind of is then surrounded by black, right? It focuses in on that character and it fades out everything else kind of around you. And underneath that character pops up this little keyboard, and I'm moving the analog stick to pick the letters and tapping X to type things in. So it is a little bit slow.
Yeah,
but
I wonder if they dial everything down, like the speed.
So I think it does. I absolutely think it's slowed stuff down. But also at the top of that little keyboard is the words I've previously used. So it will pop up with the 5 words I've previously used. So I can just roll straight up and hit one of those. It also is doing the predictive sort of text element. So I will type H, and every word, for hit or something like that, and every word that I have spelt out that the game recognizes that begins with H will pop up along that bar at the top. So I can hit H and then just hit up, and I will hit essentially, or start to type in a word and not have to do all of it because it will predictively autofill up the top. So it gives a few little tools to try and speed it up. But I have gone through this, and I've just got past the guy. So I've got all the crowns. I think it's the second chapter. I've got all the crowns. I've got past the guard to let me in to see the Rat King, and I'm at that point. And nothing so far has felt very difficult. Nothing has, combat-wise, nothing has kind of really tested me in terms of the enemies that I have met and the speed that they are kind of reacting to. I know in the demo there was a couple of the enemies that come up and go. You've got the shield, and it's got an eye on it, and so anything that has an eye in is deflected by that shield. So you can't use hit. I'm like, well, great. I'll have to use the other ability from that character. And I'm finding that kind of rhythm of abilities and how the four characters' abilities kind of play on each other. So you've got the kind of the rogue character who actually a lot of her stuff tees herself up for things. So you have to wait for her cooldown. You've got the sort of the healer kind of support character who cools down the main damage dealer sort of tank kind of character. So there's these little synergies between them that kind of work, but I'm getting so fucking lost with the amount, even so far, only having locked 4 of the abilities for each of the characters. I'm getting so lost with who does what and where my cooldown is with one character and what word associates with one of them. And it's a lot.
Yeah, it is at first, and then it's an odd one because, as you said, like nothing has challenged you so far, and I felt that way like throughout the entire game. That it's like, okay, there's a little bit of resistance and challenge here, but it's not a lot, especially when you start unlocking, more of those abilities, and then you nail down like a build, so to speak.
Yeah.
So it's like, I know to do this character first, and then get the cooldown and the time down, or whatever, and stuff like that. And it's like, okay, I'm gonna do that first, and then that, and that, and that. And I basically had this quote unquote build, and it never failed me usually.
Right.
Sometimes I'd have to like, okay, instead of hit, I'll use, I don't know, I can't remember, like slash or something like that. In the case of where it's like, oh, these letters are debuffed or nullified. But usually it's like, okay, I have this build and I have maybe another build that I slightly tweak, but and having that, it was just like, oh, I'm not really being challenged too much because I figured something out that just works 80-90% of the time. I mean, I'm pretty sure you could tweak the difficulty and stuff like that, on the Steam, the PC version at least, but I don't know. I think that game didn't really expand on its ideas too much once you got that. I don't want to call it a gimmick because I think it's very, the core of the gameplay is very neat and it's very well executed in that core idea. But expanding upon that, it didn't really do so. I think more what I came to that game for and what I appreciated that game for was like the characters, was like the Cryptmaster, the narrator, and stuff like that, and the writing and the dialogue. That's what has the lasting memory for me more so than the gameplay. Even though I like typing games, and I think what we truly need is this to be made into like a light gun game and just make House of the Dead or Typing of the Dead or one of those. This is a hybrid between them all. But yeah, I enjoyed it. So it's good to hear that you're enjoying it despite what I thought would be a really, really clunky interface. It sounds like they really considered that, which is good.
Yeah, absolutely. And it kind of follows the same sort of scheme as the PC version in terms of movement. So you're kind of moving per cell, per square, kind of on the board that you're walking across, kind of almost with the right joystick, allowing you to sort of look around as well. So there's a little bit of kind of like a move into a room, and then kind of look left and right and see where the enemies are to be like, great, I'm
Yeah.
going to kind of go over this way and I got to hit that enemy.
Typical
And-
old school dungeon crawler.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And I can do, I'd be like, cool, I've seen their pathing, so actually I'm going to set a trap down, I'll then zap them, they'll come over, get hit by the trap, I'll boot them, knock them down, jab them, and even in that early sort of stage, you get that kind of build. You know the progression of moves that you kind of want to do on them. That ultimately you've taken off 5 or 6 points before they've even had a chance to kind of hit you, really.
Yeah.
And so it'll be interesting getting into the latter part of the game and seeing maybe enemies with more hit points or enemies which block certain letters and those kinds of things a little bit more.
Yeah, the enemy variety wasn't as much as I wanted, which is a shame.
And I think I'm in the second chapter. How many was there? 5? I seem to remember 5 or 6.
Yeah.
So I think I'll give it to. The kids hate it. The kids absolutely. This is not a game I can play with the kids.
I mean,
I started
black
up.
and white. It would look real drab to them. Yeah.
Remembering the jovial kind of tongue-in-cheek nature of the writing, I was like, this will be fine. There's nothing really that bad about it. And as soon as the Cryptmaster came onto the screen, Indy was like, no, man, man, go. No,
haunting.
no, man, go. And I'm like, all right, okay, I'll turn it off. Yeah, it's fine. And she was like, don't like that. Fuck that.
Yeah.
Who the fuck's this motherfucker? And Evelyn was just kind of like, this is weird. What are you doing? Play the Astrobot game. I'm like, oh, right,
yes.
right,
That has colour.
Yes. Yeah. She's like, play the Astrobot game. So I can play the Astrobot game, essentially.
Much better. I mean, I'd rather watch someone play Astrobot than Cryptmaster. So,
I mean, I'll give it a little more time. I think I might not finish it, but I'll definitely kind of get maybe to the midpoint. At least I'll get to the Rat King and then do the next chapter kind of afterwards and sort of see what kind of happens. Because I'm not necessarily invested, but I'm interested in the whole idea that you were down in the tombs in the crypt. And the Cryptmaster kind of, through his necromancy kind of powers, brought you back to life and is propelling you to the overworld kind of thing. I'm sort of interested in that sort of, what are these layers before you actually kind of get there? Whether that's successful or not in terms of the Cryptmaster leaving or taking over the world or whatever he's trying to do. Not that bothered. I'm more interested in kind of, as I say, the layers to kind of get to that point in the different areas. Because I, having only played the demo, just assumed it was kind of more dungeon crawlery. So to suddenly being like, oh, it's like Rat Town. This is slightly interesting. There's slightly more wooden structures and there's different characters and things like that. And I don't know whether it was in the demo, in the PC version, but there's a card game you can play within the game as well. And so suddenly I'm like, oh,
decently fun.
A game in the game. Absolutely, I'm going to just ask every single character if they want to play this, and the majority of them don't, because they're actually just enemy NPCs. If I'd said the wrong thing to the guy who let me into Rat Town, they'd have all been enemies, I think. So none of them are actually interactable with, apart from sort of the main characters. But it's an interesting, it is an interesting concept in terms of that sort of typing, that word mechanic. That very much plays out kind of within the combat, as well as the jovial and very not difficult puzzle elements of it. To open a door.
Oh, the riddles.
Yeah, the riddles to open the door was pretty kind of easy to sort of get. And then the riddles that, at least in that second chapter, that the skeletons had for their crowns were all pretty easy.
Yeah, so some... I'd probably say there was about 25, maybe even 30% of the riddles, like opening chests and stuff like that did get me, and I was like, or when he's opening it and saying, I've got something in my hands, and it's like, let me describe it to you, and you have to guess what that object is. Those were the ones that tripped me up.
I agree. Exactly the same. Like, what 6-letter word is... the thing that he's described. Like, I've got no fucking idea. And I'm like, I'll figure out a 6-letter word and be like, yeah, that kind of works. And he's like, well, that's not it. I'll leave it here. Like, well, you didn't know what it was to begin with. How do you know that I'm not right? Fuck you.
Yeah, yeah. But it doesn't matter if you fail a lot of those. You'll get some, you just won't get others, and
Yeah.
it's just like,
Yeah.
yeah, well, I don't. You rarely need the currency or whatever
You ultimately
those provide to you.
Yeah, the
Too
chests are
much.
giving you letters as well, aren't they? Kind of filling out some of the blanks within the letters that the characters have along the bottom for you to sort
Right.
of get
Is that
the
what those
next
give?
thing.
Yeah.
So if it was a pipe, then you might say, well, I've got a P and an I and a P and an E. So actually, anyone that has any of those letters that I haven't filled out yet gives me those within that. The same as the enemies kind of do. And
yeah, you'll have more than enough that you won't use by the end of the game. So you know.
And I think that's it. When
those.
you open up one of the like inventories of the character, which is just the list of words that you've uncovered so far for them, there must be like 30 to 40 for these characters. You know, it's a lot. It might even be more than that. But it feels like there's a lot to uncover that I'm just not gonna fucking work out.
Yeah, you're not, and that was the biggest disappointment for me. It was like, I think you had so much more runway to use and implement new ideas and make it so that these aren't just superfluous to the experience, but they never made it there, which is a shame. But as I say, like, maybe a Cryptmaster 2 will refine it a bit more, but
yeah,
that game to me, as I say, is like its characters. Like, I don't want to spoil one of the characters in the future, but I'm just thinking, oh yeah, remember that guy?
right.
Remember that weirdo? It's just like, so yeah, the writing and that's what was the most enjoyable for me.
Nice. Okay. Adil, did you play the demo at all?
Did not.
Okay. It's still available on Steam to give it a whirl and sort of see. I was just having a quick look. But yeah.
Did you play it on? You didn't play it on computer, did you? Or
so I played the demo on Steam when it came out. However long ago it came out. So I feel like it's a last year game, but it's not. It's a this year game. Even the PC release is a this year game. But the main one that I'm playing is the PS5 version.
Yeah, I meant the demo. I know you were saying you played on the PS5. I was wondering. Did you find it was fine? I mean, I'm assuming you played it on keyboard and mouse.
So yeah, absolutely. Like on keyboard, it's more intuitive on keyboard, right? But if you're happy to, I suppose it depends on your level of like touch typing ability, I guess. Because with the speed that you're required in the combat, at least in the demo, with those early kind of things, it is forgiving. But like you type some stuff in and hit enter, and if you can't do a thing, you have to delete the letters. It's not like I've entered something, hit, oh no, it didn't work, so it's now all blank. I then have to delete them to go back to what it was. It's the same on the PlayStation as well. So I typed on the PlayStation, I typed in one of the characters has an ability which gets buffed by other abilities. So I'd done one before to buff the murder ability. So then I typed like murder in, but I typed on the PlayStation and I'd put in like murder instead, fucking, because I'm trying to do it incredibly quickly. And it's just like, it kind of wobbles a bit on the screen. It's like, this isn't a real thing. And I'm like, shit, fuck. Now I've got to like delete it back to MUR. And then I put a D in rather than the fucking B that I randomly put in instead, and then I can go forward.
Murderer.
Exactly. Because I'm trying to go so quickly. I'm like, murder, boot, zap, fucking, and you that kind of input just gets lost a little bit. Whereas if you're, quite competent at touch typing, the PC version will be, I would imagine, a lovely kind of experience. To be like,
that's why it was a breeze. Because I'm a decent-ish touch typer. I'm not breaking like words per minute records over here.
Sure. But enough for this, the pace of Cryptmaster kind of on the PC. And I think that is why it did feel slightly slower on the PS5. Not much.
Which, They'd need to.
Yeah.
I imagine. Yeah.
Well, it is already downloaded.
Nice.
Nice.
So wow, that was real quick.
I need to find
Better.
another typing game. I think I've got a few that are just around on Steam and various places, itch and stuff. So yeah, I just need to find. Maybe I'm in the mood for them.
Nice.
Make more typing games, everyone.
How do we even find typing games on Steam? What would you even
You
search
go to
for?
Steam and you look at
You
the
type
tag.
in typing.
But is there?
You look at the tag.
Oh,
they
there
have
is a
tag for, like-
typing tag, right?
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sickos like me. Yeah. You just
Nice.
go to that and you download all the free ones, of course, and wishlist all the other
Yeah.
ones.
So, Home Safety Hotline, which I think you played, Lucy.
Yes, I keep wanting to go back to it, and I keep going back to it because I started on main PC, and then I started playing it on Steam Deck. And every time I play it, because it's a decent amount of, well, not a decent amount, it's like a little bit of reading, and I'm just there in my bed with my Steam Deck reading, and I'm asleep. And that happens every time I play it.
Really
So
funny.
it's just like maybe sitting at a desk was the right idea for it originally, and maybe I should just go back to that. But
fair.
yeah, that. I really want to see where that game goes because it's just weird. It's not a long game. It's probably only 2-3 hours maybe, but yeah. I just fall asleep every time I play it on Steam Deck.
That's really funny.
Yeah.
Literally the only one. I imagine it's got the typing. It does have the typing tag on it, but the typing tag comes down much lower. Like when I'm looking through these games, none of them jump out at me at all for the typing tag.
Well, I'm a sicko and I'll play anything that's got typing in it. So.
What? Not even Hacker Simulator?
Not Hacker Simulator.
No.
Ace Cracker 2?
Not Kind Words 2.
Those coding games.
not-
are just like,
yeah.
Oh, that Kind Words game is meant to
The
be
one
good.
that does
Yeah,
jump
Kind
out
Words
at me,
is on my list, actually.
the one that does jump out at me,
same.
but only
I
because
think
of
the
the
sequel came out
aesthetic.
recently.
It's
When did
something called Comet 64.
So
There's a game called
it's
Comet
probably
64
something I've
from,
downloaded, but it
2021.
doesn't ring a bell.
Just looks cool. It's got a cool aesthetic to it, but it looks like it's a programming puzzle game rather than a typing game.
Oh, all
necessarily.
those programming ones. Yeah, get rid of those. Those are for the real nerds. You know, I just want wholesome typing, not typing code. I want just typing 3-syllable letters at most.
Yeah.
Oh, you just like the aesthetic of the
Yeah, like
more
the
graphical fidelity.
yeah, absolutely.
But
The
like,
lo-fi
really-
fucking CRT type fucking.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is
aesthetic.
very nice. It looks like, it reminds me of like Kentucky Route Zero, that screen.
Yeah, I was thinking.
It does, yeah. What's the other one? Untold Stories. Not necessarily
Yes, I
the
think
vibe,
about
but the
that.
kind of that
Yes,
one where
yes.
you're looking at the screen
Yeah.
and you're having to do all
Oh
the
yeah,
different dials and things in one of
Played
the
that,
chapters
yep.
and stuff. Well, you
Looks
are
good.
typing actually in one of those chapters, aren't you?
Mhm.
Like it's the story.
it's
You're
a
going through this kind
text
of adventure
passing
story. Yeah,
adventure game. Yeah,
Mm.
we need more of those, like the Crimson Diamond I played earlier.
Yeah.
That I went down an itch.io rabbit hole to find similar.
Yeah, to
There's
be
just
fair,
random
Itch
things,
is probably
yeah.
a better place for this experimental kind of
Mm-hmm.
area.
Unless you want to make money.
Yeah, I suppose that's the
Well,
problem.
why? When you can just make games for people like me, like Shadowgate, that only sickos still living in the 90s would play. Why make money when you can make people like me happy?
I
I
suppose
mean, I
that's the
agree.
problem, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. You're the problem, Lucy.
I absolutely am in most things in life. Yeah.
Let's move on from Cryptmaster. Are there any other games that anyone has touched or,
Yeah.
Oh,
I think we are at like DEFCON 2 in terms of the hit to my productivity levels.
okay. Okay.
Balatro is on mobile.
Oh God, what? Why would you tell me this, Lucy?
I know. I was thinking, should I bring it up? Does he know?
I did not.
Shall I tell him? Shall I?
Because actually, I haven't
Shall
had
I
enough time to
bring
sit
him
in
in?
front of this computer, which means I've actually not Balatro in a while. And
Neither had I, and then it came to mobile, and
I mean,
I'm
it does
back
also
in.
seem like a perfect mobile game.
It is, and it works so well
Mm.
on mobile. Like everything in the interface, they just dragged and dropped, so it just works so intuitively and smoothly and perfectly. It is sick. It's disgusting, and it doesn't drain the battery either. But it's dangerous, man. I've been
Well, that's the
playing
thing,
that
it
at
has
like
no
midnight.
overhead, right?
Yeah, so miniature download. Yeah, it's dangerous, man. It's not good. It's not good because I've been staying up till past midnight playing this stupid card game,
No.
and it's like, oh, there's more Jokers that have been released through patches, ongoing patches since I've
Right.
played the Steam version. So I'm like, what's this Joker? What's that Joker? How do I make a build with this Joker and that Joker?
Right.
And it's just endless possibilities, and no run is ever
The best. Like,
ever not captivating or not, interesting. It's I'm gonna have to delete off my phone probably, because it's not gonna be good. Because I think I got it maybe last week. It was the fastest £10 I ever spent.
Oh wow. Yeah.
Yeah, either last week or the week before, and it's like, oh, slowly dabbled.
Mhm.
So that's what addicts do. We dip our toe, just slightly, and then now it's just like, yeah, every night. Well, more than that, throughout the day, and every night. It's just like,
I've got
let me just
5
get my
minutes.
hit.
My phone's
Yep.
here.
Yeah,
That is how
it's
they get
never
ya.
5 minutes. It's probably an hour at a time. And yeah, I just need to curb my addiction. That's all I need to do. I think I'm managing okay. That's why it's only like DEFCON 2 at the moment.
Yeah.
Right.
We aren't full on DEFCON 1.
I think. Wait, I thought the DefCons went the other way around.
I think DEFCON 1 is the
Like,
worst one. So I'm
Yeah.
pretty bad, but I'm not
Yeah,
completely. The nukes haven't dropped yet. So
Oh yeah,
yeah.
DefCon 5 is normal, and DefCon
yes.
1 is nuclear war. Gotcha.
Yeah, we're on DEFCON 2.
Nuclear.
Yeah.
Sorry. Just anyone
Oh,
says
dear.
nuclear, it just fucking pops in my head. The Simpsons has ruined so many things.
It's the fact that unless you, well, I knew what that was, but
It took me a
anybody else who
second, I
hasn't
will
watched
admit,
Simpsons,
yeah.
I knew exactly. Nuclear. So yeah, before it gets to DEFCON 1, we are deleting it off the phone. But I mean, it's bad. I'm not gonna,
You're not trying to sugarcoat it.
No, it's bad.
But
I'm
good.
going to sleep late, but so good. Yeah. So it's like we're not there yet.
Yeah.
We're not there yet, but we're almost there.
Mm.
And another hit that's gonna. I think this is why I'm saying it's DEFCON. That's why I'm saying it's DEFCON 2, because there is something else. It's not just Balatro. Today I figured out, because it would have been like DEFCON 3, but till today, I found out. Well, someone on, I think it was Polygon, very nice of them, shared a download on Steam where you can stream remotely your Xbox games to your Steam Deck.
Oh.
Wait, what?
Yes. I mean, Game Pass exists and Cloud Game Pass exists, but because there's no dedicated app for Game Pass on Steam, there's a bit of a workaround, and it's that's quite easy to do and easy to stream and stuff like
Yeah.
that. But it's a bit annoying because it's like, oh, obviously, if you go idle or whatever, the stream disconnects and it's like, oh, you have to start it up all over again and stuff like that. Plus, it's just it's only stuff that is Game Pass cloud enabled. It isn't your entire library.
Yeah, so like I don't have, because I have Game Pass PC.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not Ultimate. I can't actually use that workaround.
Yeah.
I don't have cloud gaming.
Exactly. Yeah.
But this is streaming from your machine to your machine.
Exactly. Yeah, and which you can do already on phone. Who
Yes.
wants to do that? It would be like it's not the PlayStation Portable. What's the device that they came out with?
It is
PlayStation Portal.
Portal, yes.
Yeah. The very
That's really
expensive
confusing.
OLED remote control.
Yeah.
Yeah, essentially. Yeah, that's. I don't know who that's for, but
It's for me.
that
is ultimately the PlayStation Portal is for me when
Yeah.
It's just
Tim is
not.
watching the telly.
Yeah, but it's
Yeah.
also what, $250 for
yeah.
like a thing you could literally just get. You have a controller, you have a phone with a decent screen. You could spend the £5 for the 3 printed on Etsy mount
Yeah.
and have the same thing.
Or you can buy
Yeah.
a backbone that
Yeah, I
fits
just
with your
mean-
phone.
yeah, yeah, I'm just saying, like-
I mean, it's bigger, right? It's a bigger element. Like
Yeah.
it's kind of,
I have a
it's
little
about Steam
clip
Deck sort
on
of
my-
size.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah,
But
it's just
it's
nothing else.
People will be able to go back. People will be able to verify this. But we were literally talking about this before PS5 came out, right? Or that PlayStation should make this, but it should come out with PS5 and be bundled in with it.
Yes,
Ultimately,
I remember us
you
talking
know,
about this.
in
Yeah.
regard to kind of the Switch and that
They
kind
listened.
of competition and stuff.
Yeah,
they did.
except
A few years later.
redid it.
Yeah. They heard our conversation and just be like, but how do we get the money? Yeah.
What they do is they make a 30th anniversary version of it. And everyone goes, oh, this is the same colour as the PS1.
Oh,
I'll buy
yeah.
this one instead.
Yeah, no. I'm sorry, but no. The only cool thing about that was the box.
The boxes are
Um,
very cool for those 30th anniversary ones, yes.
Yeah. Because it literally would tarnish my memory of the PlayStation 1 having that skyscraper, that ugly, hideous thing, just painted grey.
Yeah.
So absolutely not. I have like a PlayStation 4 controller that was original PlayStation colors, and it's like, that's fine. But
Yeah.
I don't know what the DualSense looks like. I can't remember. I haven't seen one in ages. But I'm sure that would be somewhat nice. But having that ugly monstrosity in grey is just no, man. But hey, you know what? I could just like print out the box on my printer
That's
and be
true.
like, oh look, memories.
Yep.
So that's just nonsense. I understand why they did it, but it makes me feel sad because the PlayStation 1 looked nice, PlayStation 2 looked nice, even the PlayStation 3. PlayStation 4 was a very pretty console.
Angular.
Yeah,
Mm.
but really sleek looking.
Yeah.
That thing they made.
Man, the PS2, when they, towards the end of its life, you're 5-6 years into the PS2, and they managed to make the slim version
So tiny.
so fucking small.
Mm-hmm.
Basically just a disc drive. That's
Yeah.
all it was.
Yeah, so what on earth is in this thing
Terabits.
that makes it so big?
Terabits, Lucy.
No, terabits are not that big. It's been proven that they're
Yeah.
not that big. But yes, going back to DEF CON 2,
Right.
yeah, I downloaded that app. It's like between £5 and £6. I can't remember
Mhm.
exactly.
Mm.
It was after Balatro for £10. That was the fastest money I've ever spent.
Fair.
It just works out the box. You just have to go on the desktop mode on your Steam Deck and just press install and launch and log into your Xbox account, and then it just works.
Nice.
Back in the main, you don't have to be in desktop mode to launch it or anything. You can just go to the same non-Steam games section in your library, and it will appear there. And yeah, it works great so far.
Nice,
I'm
nice.
2 meters away from my Xbox.
Yeah.
It is truly just for me to be in bed and playing it.
Sounds great.
Yeah.
This is where I've fallen down on the Steam Deck a little bit. Like I've tried to install the like PS5 remote play kind of thing, and I've done the Epic Games one as well.
Mhm.
But both of them want you to launch it through Steam as an app, rather than being in desktop mode and trying to run it through there. And what I found was that in the app, it won't accept my like login for some reason, because it pops up saying, "Are you a real person?" And then the captcha doesn't populate on the Steam Deck,
okay.
so I
Yeah.
can't progress any further than that within the app that would allow me. So I can't log into it, and that's the thing that's kind of stopped me from.
Which method did you use to get Epic on there?
Oh,
Was
fuck
it the
no,
heroic
I can't remember.
launcher?
I can't remember off my head.
Because I had something similar, but the heroic launcher, you can set it up so that in desktop mode you can do all your logging in,
Right.
and then when you install something, I believe you can then tell it to just make a dummy shortcut directly to the game executable.
Right.
Yeah.
In
So,
your Steam library
yes,
as a
so-
non-Steam game.
Yes, that is what I did. That is exactly what I did. But
Yeah.
for some reason, it just would not work. So maybe I need to go back into desktop, log
I think
into
you go
it through
and
that.
log in.
Yeah,
from
just
yeah.
open up at the Epic Games, like go on the heroic games launcher and just like re-log in onto Epic.
Yeah.
/ make sure that it's working on desktop mode where it should render right.
Yeah.
And then that should, because it's still the same machine.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It should carry over. But yeah, it's also
I think
the
that's how the
the-
Game Pass one works. Although you can
Yeah.
still, there's no capture on that one, so even when it like logs me out for some reason every now and then, I can still just enter my password on the app
Right.
directly. But initially, I logged in on the desktop
Okay,
mode
great.
version. So yeah, as Adil said, try that and you might be okay. Yeah, but the thing is that like, I buy games on Steam because I'm like, oh, do I want to play this on Steam Deck? Like, cool, sure. And I don't tend to buy games on Xbox now unless it's like, oh, I want to play it on a bigger screen. Like Prince of Persia, which we spoke about a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it came out on Steam recently, but I wanted to play it on my Xbox. Just having that controller experience, and it's like, oh, this looks like a pretty game. I want to play this on my big screen. But there are games that come to like Game Pass, which is like, I don't have this and I want to play it for free. But I think this would work well as a handheld experience. And it's like, I've played. To be fair, I've played a lot of cloud games on my Steam Deck via that way. Games that are like, that it's like, oh, there are some frames dropping. It doesn't really matter. Oh, there may be a bit of input lag. Doesn't matter because it's like a 2-hour narrative indie game or something that's very, not Twitch based or whatever. But if it's like, oh, there's this game and I'd like to, play it, but I don't want to bother with like the input lag and anything else, which obviously you get a little bit of on remote play, but it's not nearly as volatile or, temperamental remote play on my network than it is, streaming from the cloud or whatever. And it's like, this is perfect for that. And hey, I've been eyeing up like buying Hitman on Steam because I'm like, I wonder what that would be like on Steam Deck.
Is
It's
VR
like,
version
no, I
coming
can
out?
just play it. Huh?
Is the VR version coming out?
No. But the main game, I can just be like, yeah, gonna play this for another 700 hours in my bed. Yeah.
Nice.
So yeah, I wish I discovered this earlier. But now it's just opened up so many possibilities.
Mm.
So yeah, that's why my productivity might tank, especially in the next coming weeks. But because they what just came to Game Pass today was Inscription. And it's
Oh
like,
no.
why not play another card game?
Like a double hit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, oh no,
Have you
the planets have aligned.
have you played any of the like I know
The
Balatro's
endless mode or
gone into like a few. I don't know whether they're DLCs or they're just like cosmetic packs or what they do, but they've
it's
like linked up with
cosmetic
like
packs.
The Witcher and a few
Yeah.
other games to bring
I think
kind
it's
of
just cosmetics.
right. Okay.
I don't think it's altering or adding any jokers or anything like
Right.
that. So no. I wonder if they're on the iOS version. Maybe they're. I'm gonna have to check on like Steam if there's just like you have to pay for them or if they're. I'd imagine so. It's like DLC you can pay for. But no, I'm good. I don't need palette swats of these Joker cards.
Yeah. Fair.
Yeah. Cool though. But, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, good for the developer to kind of be in with
Yeah.
those other kind of companies and stuff, and be able to bring that to the game for people. So
Yeah.
obviously, The Witcher 3 having a big card game within the game that spawned its own, own standalone. So people who are looking for kind of card games probably very much thinking of the different, combinations or at least kind of other cosmetics that they can kind of bring to it. So yeah, I think The Witcher's a very nice one to roll with.
Among Us, because that seems to pop up everywhere.
Yeah.
Or Shovel Knight. Those are two mercenary brands that pop up everywhere. I'm trying to have a look on Steam. Trying to see if there's any DLC. I don't know where it is. Were those just free updates or something like that?
I mean, they may have been. I don't know.
Oh yes, Friends of Jimbo free update. The Witcher 3, Dave the Diver, Vampire Survivors.
Yep.
Oh yes, and Among Us. Yeah. Castlevania though. Which is Vampire Survivors. That I might be
You're like,
interested.
nah, I don't need any of those things.
Yeah.
Oh,
Makes
hang
Yeah.
on.
Because I've been playing Order of Ecclesia, part of the DS collection.
Okay.
I think I'm almost done with that. So yeah, I'm getting my Castlevania fix elsewhere, I guess.
Nice. How many? There was 3 games in that, but actually there wasn't. There was 4 games because they added an extra one in that isn't like a remake version, but it kind of is.
Yeah, a bit of a remaster of. God, I don't even know what the name is. So many, but not enough. Yeah. Let me have a look. Dominus.
And this is like, what is this one called? Castlevania Collection, like DX or something?
Dominus Collection.
Dominus, yeah.
Go away, honey. What? Go away.
You getting advertisements?
No, I got ad block. It's the
autofill coupon code company. Is that what Honey is?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I think I've used. I don't even know how to redeem those points. I think I've used it twice.
But now it's everywhere.
Yeah. What's the name of this game? About the game. Haunted Castle. Haunted Castle revisited a redesigned version of the very first Castlevania arcade game.
Interesting.
Yeah. We need a new Castlevania, Konami. or just put Symphony in the Night on everything else because it's still only on PlayStation for some reason,
Yeah.
and I think the best version of however to play it is the Xbox 360 way through backwards compatibility.
Mm. Okay,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Yeah, because I don't think the re-release on PlayStation was very good. So yeah.
Fair.
Yeah, that's my gaming.
Nice.
Balatro and Inscription.
I mean, that's still pretty solid to me.
Yeah.
Is Balatro a 2024 game?
Yes. Some would say it's the best game of the year.
Some might say that by default because they can't remember another game they've played.
Well, you know what? Even if you'd played another game, the deal,
Yeah.
Balatro would still be
Yeah.
And then Ben will be like, Astrobot, and we're like, but does it have addictive gambling?
No, which is
Mechanic.
why it's the
Qualities.
best game of the year, basically.
Mm,
Doesn't pull you in that much.
no.
However, Balatro
It's no good then.
on my phone does seem like a very good but bad idea.
Mm.
I think
Doesn't it though?
I think once you get over that binge,
Mm.
it's just a good game to have.
Yeah.
Because I mean, it's better than looking through Instagram or something like that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's a better
Yeah.
use of my time, I think, than doom scrolling or something. Yeah. Mm.
Good. Well, they're the games that we played this week. The things that we want to talk about. Let's roll back around then and finish out the episode with our beers. Lucy, you kicked us off with the ToØl. So you're pouring a little bit into the glass.
Yeah, still a little bit left. Yeah, it's nice. It's not a beer, but it's nice. It's like a fizzy drink. Probably better off buying one of those, just because of like the calories and stuff. Like you can just get a low or no sugar sparkling drink that tastes like elderflower. That would be healthier than this, but
I mean,
there
you
would be
could just put elderflower cordial in sparkling water, right?
or that, yeah. And it would probably be cheaper.
Oh, and some red food coloring.
Yeah, this is where the soda
Yeah.
stream comes out on top.
Yeah.
That's,
That's what I have.
Yep.
I literally
Yeah.
just used lime juice.
Mm.
Sometimes lemon and lime juice, just a few drops of each. Half the time I just want the bubbles, so just have the sparkling water.
You monster. I don't like sparkling water.
That's so North
Just the
Carolina.
plain one. Anyway, yeah, it'd probably be healthier for you, and there's no reason to get this. It tastes nice, but there's zero reason why you'd have this.
Okay.
If you're like, oh, I'm driving or something, and I feel like a beer, get another alcohol-free beer. That's not this.
Mm-hmm. Interesting that ToØl are stepping into that kind of space, but producing something like that.
Yeah, I mean, they have lots of interesting flavors and, experimental things. They always have been like that. So I guess this is no different to, like, I mean, they've definitely... I think one of the beers that I remember most from them is, like, an Imperial Sour before a lot of other people started doing that. Which was, like, yes, raspberry Imperial Sour, and that was nice. That was really nice. But very like avant-garde off the cuff kind of thing.
Right.
So yeah, this is not really different to what they do anyway, but yeah, this is the first alcohol-free beer that I've seen from them. So
yeah,
maybe because I'm not looking in that space. Or
yeah, absolutely.
I just don't see much ToØl nowadays. Probably because of Brexit. That ruined everything.
Yeah. It seems like Lervig, right? I've seen like a couple of beers from them in recent months, but nothing from them for ages.
Yeah, just like House Party, their main one, and
Mm.
that's it. Shame,
Mm.
shame. Because and you know it's because of Brexit, because
It's got to be.
stuff like that from absolutely is. Isn't a coincidence that we just suddenly stop receiving all these nice continental and Scandinavian beers. It's not like someone put a wall between in the channel. So it's like, yeah.
I wonder if it is not necessarily the issues with transporting over here, but
It's the paperwork.
the paperwork. Yeah,
It's like, why bother? Yeah.
completely.
But you know what? We are an island, and we have nothing else. But at least we have good beer breweries. You know, if Brexit was, you know, it stopped me from getting good beer, I would have definitely left by this point. But fortunately, we were blessed in this country.
Yes,
with
very
such-
much.
So many and so many good breweries.
I was going to roll around to your beer, Adel, the Twice Brewed, and I thought I'd Google it to see where they are, but I haven't found them because there's a pub called the Twice Brewed Inn, which seems to be dominating a lot of stuff. Oh no, here they are.
Twice Brewed is they're in Northumberland. They're on Hadrian's Wall.
Okay. Oh wow, nice.
Yeah.
How's the beer?
I mean, if anything, the slight maltiness and even that appley taste, because the tart is quite, like I said, it's almost like I'm drinking a blue Sour Patch Kid. I think by the time I got to, it was a full 440 ml can, and by the time I've got this much left, it just tastes like the blue, on a bit tart. I can feel it on the sides of my tongue, like I've had sour candy. Like that tartness is quite zingy and tangy, but a bit sweet. Now that I mention it, I'm getting a bit more of that apple fruit depth because I'm thinking about it. But most of my sips just started being like very sour and blue. Yeah, and that malty slight. Maybe this is still a beer. Definitely faded. A while ago. It's still tasty, but it's just like this is not a beer I would recommend to someone like Lucy who wants a beer.
Yeah, fair. Is it the can that's got some kind of necrotic Roman soldier on the front?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I like that.
Yeah, it's great. It's a great can.
Cool. That's like a character in Cryptmaster.
Yes, it is. Yeah. They do an Iron Brew sour as well, and a green apple sour. Yeah.
Because Vault City has an Iron Brew.
Yes.
That does not taste like Iron Brew. So
Ooh.
now I might have to track down cans of both and do a taste test.
Yeah.
Well, all three. Get an actual Iron Brew, a Twice Brewed Iron Brew, and a Vault City Iron Brew.
I mean, they Twice Brewed seem that they're sat in this space, right? That they've also got then Toxic Juice, a green slime sour, as they call it, like a bubblegum sour, a guava juice sour, like a bunch of these kinds of
they're definitely
smoothie IPAs.
Trading in the similar space as Vault City in the we're making sours that are a bit bonkers and are leading towards not beer. Standard beer tastes.
Yeah, absolutely. But they then also got a bunch of lagers and pills and some best bitters and amber ales and stuff like that. So it's interesting that they kind of
they skipped the core of craft.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. They're like, we're a traditional kind of brewery. Let's fucking go nuts.
Yeah.
Interesting. Good. So the Pomona Island, I'm about to swig the last little bit. It did level out as a flavour and didn't go quite as all over the shop as my initial sort of taste. But it kind of leveled out in a very, very nice way, in that nose that I was getting, that slightly more toffee kind of maltness, kicked in a little bit and actually runs through the entire beer. So that ties things together. And I'm getting a little bit of fruit. I'm getting a little bit of maybe apricot. I'm getting a little bit of kind of more ripe kind of mango as well. But it runs through those kinds of flavors with this malty sort of backbone to it as my palate became acclimatized to it a little bit, I suppose. But it lost the bitterness the more I drank. That's the thing that kind of disappeared. Whilst this balance sort of happened in the flavors, the bitterness subsided that little bit. Right. And it would have been nice if that balance had happened and the bitterness had stayed, ultimately. It became just a little too light for a West Coast IPA for me. Still nice, but the mix of stuff going on at the start and then the loss of kind of the bitterness makes it a bit too frantic, I think, as a beer to want kind of a whole can of. If maybe I'd had a third in the pub or something, I'd have had a slightly different experience with it. But yeah, it's nice, but it's not one to grab again, I don't think, unless I see it on draft. Probably only in their own place, because I can't imagine it's in many other places. Yeah, that was I can't remember what it was called now. Oh, Drums Please, from Pomona Island. So that is it from us this week. They're the beers and the games that we've enjoyed. If you want to chat to us, go to outoflives.net, come and join our Discord, go to our YouTube page, search for all of the things Out of Lives or Tanked Up directly, and we appear in your podcast service of choice, in YouTube or on the internet. And we can link you to places like Discord to come and chat to us. If you want to follow our own adventures in beers and games, cooking, philosophy, all of the other stuff that we are doing in our lives, I'm at Nova_47. Adel is
at the Omniarch,
and Lucy is
playing Balatro.
Was my beer chat and the outro so boring? You're like, fuck this. I've thought about it now.
So
thought about it. I'm gonna do it.
I was just getting my run up. I hadn't started playing.
Nice.
We can't waste any time.
Nice.
After this, I'm straight to Balatro. Perfect. And Juicy Loose 9.
Good. And we are at Tanks Upcast on the socials as well. Thank you for joining us again. We've been Tanked Up. We'll see you soon. Goodbye.
Bye.
Ciao.
Wait. What was the last one you signed out with?
Oh, I forgot. Hibbity dibbity? I don't know.
www.outoflives.net